Coming up tonight on News 7.
Two suspects have been arrested after keeping police at a standoff in Newport.
Plus, Burke's Demo Center is seeing an increase in people.
And your postage could be going up. News 7 starts right now.
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Julianne Walshaw.
And I'm Nick Russo. A standoff that held police for hours has ended with two suspects in custody.
Let's get straight to News 7's Tyler Dumont, who now joins us at the desk. You are on the scene, Tyler.
Yeah, that's right. Good evening, guys. Two suspects are in custody tonight after police say they were armed with rifles at a home on Highland Avenue in Newport. Now, police found 10 others, most of them children, inside the home as well. Neighbors who were there were told to stay in their homes and lock the doors. Some were even asked to leave. And tonight, police are learning more about the men who held them in a standoff for hours. News 7 photographer Tim Christ and I were on scene with police as it all unfolded. Police say the call came in at 5:30 early this morning. A man reporting that there were 400 police officers surrounding his home and attempting to attack him. Newport police said no one was in the area at the time, but they quickly rushed to this home on Highland Avenue.
The police responded to find out what the subject was talking about.
That's where police say they found the very same man who called them, 36-year-old Derek Niles, on the roof of this garage, armed with a rifle.
He was on his garage roof, and he was talking with a cell phone. He was with his cell phone. And then he had another phone that he was texting with while he was talking.
Police are familiar with Niles, including former incidents of domestic assault, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest. Neighbors who know Niles said police told them to leave their houses immediately.
They told everybody to get out, because there's going to be somebody that's possibly going to start shooting a gun at people's homes.
Police also found an armed 15-year-old boy who had a rifle as well. They found him behind the home. This all while 10 family members, most of them children, were being held inside. The children, who police are all calling hostages, are all related to the suspects and were able to escape through a window.
We used the State Police Hostage Negotiation Unit and the Vermont Tactical Services Unit to communicate with him, and then he willingly came down off the roof.
Heavily armed local and state officers responded and were aided with air support from the Department of Homeland Security. Police said they were able to talk to the suspects, and they were eventually taken into custody about 11 this morning. Police said no shots were fired and that the quick response to the standoff could have resulted in the positive ending.
I think all the agencies involved did a really good job. I'm very impressed with the State Police and Orlean County Sheriff's Department's response. Newport City Fire Department was on scene almost immediately as usual, as was Newport Ambulance Service, and I can't speak enough about the response that I got from my officers.
Now, just to stress, police are still trying to find out if those children were being held against their will at the home. While officers did use it on scene, they've been a little hesitant with the term hostage, but obviously those children very concerned for their safety. The two suspects are currently facing charges of disorderly conduct and reckless endangerment, and a woman who hasn't yet been named by police was also taken into protective custody for jeopardizing their investigation. The older suspect has also since been taken for a mental evaluation, since they say he was likely hallucinating when he reported several hundred officers surrounding his home. So guys, as to what happens next, well, it's now in the hands of the state's attorney. Whether or not he'll be brought to a correctional facility or go under mental health treatments, that's a decision that will come later on this week.
All right, thank you, Tyler.
All right, guys.
Adam Bellevue of Springfield, Vermont has been issued a citation to appear in Caledonian court after an altercation with Roger Bernier, an employee at the Northeast Regional Correctional Facility in St. Johnsbury. Bellevue is to appear in court on November 11th on a charge of assault on a corrections officer. A Lyndonville man is facing charges after having prescription drugs in a Vermont prison. According to Vermont State Police Officer, 26-year-old Travis Johnson was in possession of a drug used to treat heroin and opiate addiction while at the Northeast Regional Correctional Facility in St. Johnsbury. According to VSB officer, Johnson obtained the drug illegally from another inmate. Johnson was cited and is expected to appear in a criminal division of the Caledonia County Superior Court on October 28th.
A former St. Johnsbury town manager has found a new job. Ralph Nelson is now the executive director at New England Disabled Sports after the select board fired him from his last position last April. Nelson filed a wrongful termination lawsuit, but a Superior Court judge ruled against him. NEDS is a private nonprofit organization that provides adaptive sports instruction to children and adults with disabilities. The company's headquarters is located at Loon Mountain in Lincoln, New Hampshire. According to Jack Daly, the managing director at NEDS, Nelson is not going to appeal to get his job as a St. Johnsbury town manager back.
No, I think he's a good fit for our program, and we certainly hope that he will be successful, and we that are already here will give him all the support we can to make him successful.
Nelson is expected to start his new job as executive director on October 1st.
The Postal Service is now seeking a 3-cent increase in the cost of mailing a letter, which, if passed, would raise the price of first-class stamps to 49 cents apiece. Officials say the Postal Service is expecting to lose around $6 billion this year. The agency has to wait until the stamp cost increase is approved by the Independent Postal Regulatory Commission. Media and marketing businesses say a big increase in rates could hurt them and lower postal volume and revenues, while some local residents had their own opinions.
Well, truthfully, I think it's pretty amazing that our letters always get to their destinations. I really can't think of a time when my letter hasn't gotten where it was supposed to go, and I think it's a pretty good deal, so I'm not real concerned about 3 cents increase.
The Postal Service said it would ask for adjustment to bulk mail rates as well. New Hampshire public health officials say a recent finding of eastern equine encephalitis in a horse in Ossipee raises the town's risk level from remote to high. The risk level has also been raised to moderate in surrounding communities. Public Health Director Dr. Jose Montero says people should protect against mosquito bites no matter where they live until there is a killing frost statewide.
In just 5 days, the Affordable Care Act will implement throughout Vermont through the Vermont Health Connect. Small business owners and individuals met in St. Johnsbury today to learn more about what the act means for them. A budget battle is looming in Washington, D.C., with House Republicans threatening either defund the act, otherwise known as Obamacare, or to shut down the government on Tuesday. Even if Republicans have their way, the Vermont Health Connect will not likely be affected.
It won't have an impact unless they defunded the federal government for a year, because we've already received the funds to establish Vermont Health Connect, and the subsidies for it are based on the taxes, and as I said, the IRS is not one of those divisions that shuts down when the government shuts down. So
Reynolds added that the threat to defund the act is merely a display of philosophical differences between Republicans and Democrats than an actual threat to the Affordable Care Act.
The Environmental Protection Agency is on Lake Memorfrog to create a new depth map. The new map is being made to assist in the developing of reducing phosphorus in lakes, as well as acting as a navigational charge for recreational use. State officials say the new chart will cover all of Vermont and Quebec. And now Nick Marianos joins us with the first look at our forecast. Nick, those clouds kept sticking around. Can we please see some sun sometime soon?
We can only hope, Nick, we can only hope. But really, actually, this morning we had a tease of sunshine. We saw some sun this morning, but then it clouded up as the day went on, and it remained under the clouds for quite a while. Right now, we're under cloud cover as well. Temperatures at 52 degrees. The clouds prevented us from warming up into the 60s, but so right now we're seeing clouds pinwheeling across Canada. But across the Champlain Valley, we saw lots of sunshine. They had a beautiful day, barely saw a cloud at all. It's only a tease for us, but because we have a storm out over the Canadian Maritimes that's pinwheeling these clouds over northeastern Vermont. In fact, some locations are seeing a little bit of drizzle and some showers, such as St. Johnsbury. I saw a drizzle about 15-20 minutes ago. And that's going to be the story as we head through the overnight hours. So for tonight, 41 degrees with mostly cloudy skies. Tomorrow, we'll see more sun than clouds, temperatures in the middle 60s. But the headlines is we're going to continue the lingering clouds, at least for the next couple of days, but then we'll see some warmer weather continuing into the 70s for the weekend. In fact, we'll see weekend forecast coming up later on. Guys, back to you.
All right, thank you, Nick. There's more to come after the break. Find out what new plan Lyndon State College presented today.
Plus, 39 states, including Vermont, are joining in on a letter to the FDA.
Coming up tonight on News 7.
We'll show you what the adoption of the Common Core standards means for Vermont students.
Ben Luna rests his case as Deputy State's Attorney here in Caledonia County. I'll have that story coming up.
Plus, how is this fuzzy face helping to support disaster relief across the state? News 7 starts right now.
Live from the Vermont Center for Community Journalism, this is News 7 at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Cortland Hanley.
And I'm Nick Russo. Police are still searching for a masked man who attempted to rob the Circle K store in Littleton armed with a pistol.
That's right, Nick. Now, the attempted robbery took place just after 5 last night when a man wearing a ski mask entered the store demanding money. Police describe the man as having a medium build. He's about 5'6", and he's believed to have light brown to hazel eyes. Now, New Hampshire State Police are searching the area. They used a canine, but they had no luck in locating the suspect. Police did take fingerprints at the scene, and the incident is still under investigation.
Anyone who thinks they may recognize the suspect are asked to call the Littleton Police Department at 603-444-2422. The Sheffield Wheelock Fire Department was called to a chimney fire this morning. The fire broke out around 8:30 at 483 Peak Road in Wheelock. A ladder truck had to be called in from Lindenville to easily deal with the chimney fire. It appeared that the fire was extinguished as crews began to pack up, but smoke began to pour from the chimney and ladder crews had to clear the chimney once again.
We usually call Lindenville whenever we can, whether they have the big ladder truck. It's a lot safer working off a ladder than it is on ladders on the roof, you know.
The family was home at the time of the fire and no injuries were reported.
Vermont State Police took part in the National Click It or Ticket campaign over the Thanksgiving holiday. The hectic holiday and shopping weekend saw nearly a dozen impairment-related incidents, with 99 total accidents. Now, some believe that this has to do with the Wednesday before Thanksgiving being one of the busiest bar nights of the year. This weekend brought about 27 DUIs statewide. The biggest offenders were those caught speeding, as the Vermont State Police cited 442 speeding violations. And Sutton residents who are looking to use Calendar Brook Road should allow a little extra time for their travels. Parts of the road will be shut down starting tomorrow, and will remain closed until Monday to allow for road construction. For any questions about the closure, call the Sutton Town office at 802-467-3377.
2013 is the final time students around Vermont will be completing the New England Common Assessment Program, or NECAPS for short. Next year, students will complete the Smarter Balance test based off the Common Core standards. Vermont Governor Peter Shumlin says the Common Core is needed to help students have the skills they need to succeed.
When I was a kid growing up in Vermont, you could get a good manufacturing job with a high school degree and make a good living. You know, those days are pretty much gone. If you have a manufacturing job today, you're running a $2 million piece of equipment or a $1 million piece of equipment that you need technology skills to be able to run.
I feel like it really is going to prepare them to be independent learners and thinkers, which is the hope, and prepare them for college and career readiness, regardless of what path they take after school.
Billie Jo Roberts is a 6th grade teacher at the Barnett School. She has been busy adjusting her lesson plan to fit the Common Core standards.
I've made a lot of shifts in my instruction. I'm much more intentional with what I'm doing. So each day I provide the students with a learning target, and those learning targets come from their assessments.
Under the old testing system, schools that didn't make adequate progress with the NECAPS were labeled failing schools, including in Barnett.
It doesn't feel good to a school or to the students in the school to be labeled as failures, even though they've worked their hardest and done the best that they can do.
Neither the NECAPS nor the Common Core will hold students back from graduating, but it can have consequences for their school leaders.
It would fall in a high-stakes assessment category, so it doesn't necessarily affect students as much as it affects adults and schools.
A challenge facing both the Barnett School and St. Johnsbury School is trying to get students caught up to grade level.
I think there's real evidence from the tests that kids are catching up, but they're not catching up fast enough. So we need to have kids on par with the state, by grade 4, by grade 5, not by grade 8.
Even though I have students in here that read on a 2nd and 3rd grade reading level, I'm exposing them to 6th grade. And I'm helping them get through that. I'm exposing them to it. We talk through it. And it is a challenge because when they come to do that by themselves, they're not going to have that help and that support that they need.
And Bledsoe says don't expect instant improvement when the Common Core testing results hit.
The first few years of a test like that, you really can't see the improvement because so much of what you're seeing is just adjustment to the new assessment.
You're going to see some test scores go down because not all of the elements that were being tested for have been taught to the students. So that's a little demoralizing. I have some current concerns about that, but generally the Common Core makes sense.
Now, just for fun, here's an example of a question that Billy Joe's 6th grade graders may be expected to learn under the Common Core. Miss Joan Stone buys groceries for a total of $45. She now has $32 left. Which equation could be used to find out how much money Miss Stone had before she bought the groceries? Colton, what do you think it is? Is it 45x equals 35, x minus 35 equals 45, or C, x plus 32 equals 45?
I don't know, Nick. What is it?
Well, it turns out the answer is x plus 32 equals 45. Now, I struggled with that one too, and it goes to show you how much 6th graders really need to learn these days.
Absolutely.
Secretary of State Jim Kondos is continuing his tour around the state, educating the public on the importance of transparent government. For anyone who missed the presentation in Lindenville at the beginning of November, he will be giving a PowerPoint presentation at the Barton Memorial Building from 6 to 8 p.m. The presentation discusses open meeting laws as well as public record laws. Secretary Kondos will take questions following the presentation. When we spoke with him last month, he highlighted the importance for everyone to be educated on the laws and how to go about accessing public records.
Is to educate not just local elected officials, but also to educate the public, the general public, so that they understand what their rights are. And I tell people all the time that the media and the public are one and the same.
Kondos will visit 3 more towns in the state as a part of a 10-town scheduled tour that began on November 4th.
Fairpoint Communications has postponed a service quality workshop that was scheduled for today. Christine Rivers says she is not sure when the workshop will be rescheduled. Service quality workshops may imply poor quality by Fairpoint, but that's not the case here, according to Rivers. Fairpoint will be updating quality standards, addressing possible customer complaints, looking at new state standards, and also weather events that may have implicated the quality of the communication company. And now Nick Marianos joins us with a first look at our weather. Nick, last night my drive home was dreadful. I mean, it was so dark, it was so foggy. Can you explain this?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Today did a complete 180. Yesterday was foggy. We had a lot of moisture in the air, and the temperature matched, the dew point temperature. Dew point is a measure of how much moisture is in the air, and I'll explain that a little bit later on in the newscast, by the way. But right now, temperature is quite a bit colder, 31 degrees, but we saw a lot of sunshine today. It was a lot better than yesterday. We had that dreary fog that just lingered the entire day. Now, like I said, we're at 31 degrees. We're still seeing clear skies, but it's not going to last that much longer, and the reason why is because we have some clouds off to the west, and that's going to move in overnight tonight, but we're still seeing a little bit breaks meanwhile at this time. But when you zoom out the view a little bit, you see a lot more clouds stretching all the way back to Michigan, and even just goes further back than that. But these clouds, like I said, we're going to work in overnight tonight. We're still going to stay pretty dry, although there's a chance for showers as you wake up by the time tomorrow morning. Temperatures tonight will drop down to 26 degrees. Then we'll see them rebound a little bit more tomorrow around 41 with a chance of showers continuing through the day. But welcome back to clouds. We'll have a cloudy stretch for the next several days, and then we'll get into a wintry mix, and along with that will be some cold air that'll be working their way into the forecast. We'll discuss all that later on. Guys, back over to you.
Thank you, Nick. There's more to come after the break.
Under a new contract, Northeast Kingdom Waste Management can now benefit from One Vermont Recycling Company. Find out who next.
He's prosecuted those who broke the law in search of justice, and next week he makes his final arguments. You'll meet him coming up.